Hey guys, for my week 2 post, I'm going to be posting about my work experience with existential therapy or existential therapies and person-centered therapies. First off, I've had a lot more work with existential as opposed to person-centered therapies. I worked in Camp Beering, Kuwait under a program called Iron Reset Program where we would take service members off the front lines and do existential therapies, or that was the therapy I would decide to do with them and work with them on, and kind of helping service members find new meanings. And I had a lot of National Guard soldiers come through there, and a lot of soldiers would re-up on deployment. Basically, they were out there for a year, and they would stay out there additional year because they hated their job. So helping service members find new meaning and new focus in their career fields, and really using a lot of existential therapy was very helpful in those settings. I have one client in particular where he was, I believe, working at a repair copy machine place back in his state, and he absolutely hated his job, and he would rather be in a combat environment than go back there. So definitely super helpful to help him kind of develop a new meaning of life and go over what he wanted, develop new goals. And it was a great therapy, great use of existential. I really like Yalom. Anyways, the client ended up becoming a history teacher, and it worked out great. He dropped me a line a few years back and told me what ended up going on, and I really attribute that to a lot of existential therapy. Now, person-centered, I hadn't had a lot of luck early in my career prior to mobilization due to the fact, one, I was young, two, I wear the rank as second lieutenant at the time, and I didn't wear a combat patch. Soldiers or combat veterans that I was working with, or combat service members, couldn't open up to me. Didn't feel like they could be vulnerable enough with their emotions, and that was really the weakness. Is that the person couldn't open up about their emotions to me. It didn't have that trust level. And maybe I was a little inexperienced to try a lot of person-centered at the time. But after I deployed, it was very easy to gain that trust, and for service members, both men and women, to trust me with those emotions. I think that we have a bad problem with stigma in the military with mental health. So person-centered is kind of a problem that relates to that stigma. People are afraid to cry sometimes, especially if there's super hua, as we call it, and they don't want anyone to see those emotions. So definitely, I had a lot more success in the military with existential therapy and on that viewpoint. I really like Yalom's perspectives. I really like his book. My favorite book of his is The Gift of Therapy. I found that in 2010, right after I think it came out not too long ago, maybe 2010, 2009, something like that. I found that book, and it was really, really helpful. I absolutely love it. Another book of his that I liked, that I've learned in school, was the group counseling one, the big black one. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's like group psychotherapy or something like that. Great book, really helped me with doing a lot of group work while I was overseas. I deployed to Iraq, I deployed to Jordan, and I deployed to Kuwait, Camp Beering, Kuwait particularly. And that really helped me using person-centered after I deployed, because then I had the trust. And it's kind of more so Yalom, I would say, so is that therapeutic relationship and therapeutic alliance was just so important. And once the service members could relate to me and see I experienced some of the same experiences they'd experienced, that was it. That was money. And that was really, really helpful. And when I did group counseling, or if I did one-on-one counseling, having a deployment under your belt as a clinician in the military was definitely really, really helpful. I just wanted to say this. Man, we could spend a whole 16 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, on this class, all this material, these core theoretical perspectives. I don't know how about you guys, but man, I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose. I had a lot of exposure to these therapies when I was in grad school, but then seeing them again, reading about them again, and obviously additional training and experience as you go on through CEU process and stuff like that, I've had a lot of exposure to a lot of these therapies, but just going over it again is great. On Gestalt therapy, I hadn't done a lot of Gestalt therapy. I've done a lot of other type of processing skills in terms of TFCBT, doing those trauma recordings, and also helping folks do their trauma narrative and then burn the letter, stuff like that. Haven't done a lot of Gestalt. I want to say that I'm definitely a big Yalom believer. I definitely like his approach. I really like the way we have that therapeutic respect and empathy with your clients. I'm a big fan of Yalom. So out of all our theories this week, I've just really enjoyed that. Gestalt, not so much. I feel like I don't have a lot of application for that in the military, but I mean, I'm sure like there is some, but not where the field I work into. That therapeutic alliance and relationships important. Work in ER, that's really hard to develop when you have single or second or two sessions with a client. But for those long-term psychotherapy or those CBT, a little bit longer term, like 16, 32 weeks, depending on what you can do, is really helpful. My lingering question is, what do you think's better? Carl Rogers' approach or Yalom? Those are my two. I like both of them, but my favorite is Yalom. I really like Yalom, especially Yalom with groups. Really taught me a lot on how to deal with challenging clients, and also when there's conflict in groups. It really helped me understand that the conflict's normal, and it's also therapeutic, and it's a normal situation to come in a group. So, what do you guys think? I'd like to hear back from you guys. Hope everyone's having a good week. Take care. Bye-bye.